Hello there parents, thank you so much for taking the time out to look through this PowerPoint. It's just a very brief introduction of how we teach reading at Hillside and how we teach our children to be confident readers through our RWInc programme. So this PowerPoint is just going to give you some information about how we teach it in school and also ways you can support your children at home with their reading too. I wanted to start with a little quote saying, teach your child to read and keep that child reading and we will change everything. We are ever so passionate about reading here at Hillside and we believe that every child can be that amazingly confident reader, and that's how we wish for them to leave Hillside. So the RWInc programme is designed to really support that and encourage your children to be fluent and confident readers, and we have seen great results with our programme so far. So who is the RWInc Phonics for? So we teach RWInc Phonics starting in reception, and the programme usually finishes for children in year 2 and then they're ready to move on to accelerated reader. We do have a one-to-one tuition programme alongside the RWInc that allows children to be able to keep up with their peers, so that therefore they don't need to catch up later on. So it runs alongside their current RWInc group, and that's run right from reception into year 2. We do have RWInc groups in years 3 and year 4, and those are for children who haven't yet met the Key Stage 1 reading expectations, and therefore they just need that little bit longer to develop their reading skills. We have a Fresh Start programme for children in years 5 and 6 who are still learning to read, and it's structured in the same way as the phonics programme, but it uses age appropriate text for those children in years 5 and year 6. And all the groups are taught based on their stage of reading. So we do regular half-termly assessments that allow us to then flexibly move the children groups according to the stage, so we can check that they are able to recognise sounds and also apply this into their writing. Some children do need extra practice when learning to read, so we can teach these children on a bit of a one-to-one basis every day, and that is on top of their group lesson as well. So in a daily phonics lesson, which lasts about an hour, the children have the opportunity to look through different flashcards to look at all their sounds from set 1 to set 3. They then look at words that contain these sounds. These are called nonsense words. These are words that don't make any sense at all, but it gives us a great indication that children can identify these special friends in words and also blend words carefully, so we can check that they are decoding properly. These words also link to the Year 1 assessment, phonics screening assessment, that they take in the summer term of Year 1. They get to look at lots of other words that relate to the sounds, and we do lots of reading, identifying special friends, lots of blending, and these correlate to the text that they're reading in that group. You can see the colours there, and there's a writing book that goes alongside this. So as much as we're developing children's reading ability, we're also being able to apply these sounds into their writing too, where they can use their imaginations, have a go at writing sentences, writing words, and just having a play with the sounds that they are learning. We also then read stories to the children that relate to the text they're reading in the classroom. These are often stories that are a little bit beyond the children's ability to read at this moment in time, but it's where we aim for them to be by the end of the programme. So we have our Fresh Start modules. So link back to my other slide, these are for children in years 5 and year 6, and you can see that the texts, they're based on anthologies, so they are age appropriate texts for the children who are taking part in that Fresh Start module, that just need that bit more support with their reading, but it is pitched and based at an age appropriate level, and we've had really great success with that so far since we've been taking part in the RWInc program. So if we think about our English alphabetic code, there are 44 sounds in total. There are 26 letters, and there are over 150 graphemes. So we have one of the most complex alphabets in the world. So phonics is really supporting children to understand their sounds. We call them phonemes as well, and you may hear your children talk about the phonemes in the word. The grapheme is the written letter that represents that sound. And here is an example. You've got the sound sh, and then I and p for ship, and then t, e, t for treat. And you've got the word ship and treat. So children get to learn it as phonemes and sounds, and they break it apart, identify special friends, which I've underlined, and they also see it written, so they understand how the grapheme, how the letter looks as well. So here is the set 1 and set 2 sounds that the children learn. In reception they start on set 1, and over the year in reception they move on to set 2. In year 1 we can be right across set 1 up to set 3 range, but you can see it's broken down into vowel sounds, consonant sounds, stretchy sounds, bouncy sounds, and this is how the children learn and play around with the sounds as well. Each sound also correlates to a phrase. So for example, we might have the sound R, start the car. We might have ow, shout it out. Oi, toy for a boy. So it is a relatable phrase, and it's quite amazing how well the children remember those, and to help them with their phonics too. Here are the set 3, so it gets a little bit trickier. Children learn that there are alternative sounds for some very simple sounds where they are single sounds. For example, if you look at the S sound, there are 5 different ways we can represent that sound. So we really take care and take time building up the children's confidence recognising these sounds, and equally applying them into writing and supporting them when they are reading these sounds. So a typical lesson for RWInc starts with a 10-minute speed sounds lesson. That's related to one of the sounds from sets 1, 2 and 3. It's done with the flashcards, and then we have one focus sound for that day, and the children then have a go at doing some spellings with that sound. The children will use their Fred fingers to pinch the sounds that they hear, so they can identify how many sounds are in that word, and then they have a go at writing it down. We have word time, where they then read words that contain that sound, and they have a go at reading that by doing Fred talk, which is where they sound it out, or they do Fred in their head, where they are doing the sounds in their head and then they say it out loud. We then have a focus story for that lesson. Now that book may last for 3 days, it may last for 5 days. There are story green words that relate to that story. These are words that they can confidently blend and they will see within the text. And then they have red words to practice, that are words that they just need to learn. They are tricky words that you may have heard them talk about, that have some sounds they can hear and some sounds that they can't hear. We teach these as red words. Children get time to do partner practice, looking at sounds, looking at red words, and also having a go at reading the story together. Then the teacher will do a story introduction and a think about the story, where we're asking questions around a text and very much encouraging them to think about the story they've just read and answering lots of questions about it so we can check their comprehension. Children do a first read themselves, then the teacher will read aloud to the children using expression, modelling how to read, modelling how to use Fred talk. If we get to a word we are stuck on, we do some jump in, where we read most of a sentence, leaving the end part for the children to finish. There's questions related to that as well. And then we move on to doing writing in their Get Writing book, where they are holding a sentence that we give them. We keep saying that sentence until we remember it, and then we have a go at writing it, applying capital letters, finger spaces, and full stops as well. So sounds and blending is what equates to reading. So children will have their sound cards and they will put them together, and you can see on the example here it's at, sat. Your child may come home and talk about Fred. Fred is our frog. He's our Fred fingers. He's Fred in our head. He is our model of how we use these strategies to help us to read. So he appears in every lesson and Fred talks to us. He then talks to the children and he models those good strategies of reading. We then teach the spelling, so if children are writing with our thread fingers, so we will hold up our fingers and we pinch our fingers, which represents this. Each sound has each finger, and then we have a go at writing. So you may have noticed that children have started to come home now with book bag books. These books relate to the story your child is reading in their RWInc lesson. These books come home and they are changed either after 3 days or after 5 days, depending on which colour RWInc programme your child is following at present. We really encourage you to read these books over and over. We say 3 in school, 4 times at home. And although your child may be confident at reading it and seem quite fluent, it is really important that they are able to read these fluently, because it makes them feel successful with their reading. It makes them feel that they can read a book themselves, be confident, and we encourage you to ask some questions around the text. You can do some writing around the text, but we want you to enjoy these books at home. They will also come home with a bedtime storybook, and these are books for you to just enjoy as a family at home at bedtime or snuggled up on the sofa. You are more than welcome to read other texts, but we do not now give out any other reading scheme books, as these don't correlate to the RWInc programme. So we have stopped handing out banded books because they weren't having a positive impact now on the RWInc programme. The most important thing you can do at home is reread that book bag book, enjoy that bedtime story, and encourage your child to read lots and lots of things when you're out and about, signs, posters, magazines, newspapers, and get them applying and blending those sounds that they see. So as I previously said, we encourage you to do 4 at home. Develop your children's accuracy with reading, their fluency with reading, pausing when they get to full stops, taking that breath, that pause when they need it. Do they understand the text? Asking them questions. Get to the end of the story, ask a question about the beginning of the story. Can they go and find it in the book? Go back and look through the book as well. And just read and enjoy at home. Model that enthusiasm with reading, model that expression, so your child starts to mimic that as well. So on the Ruth Miskin website, there are free video tutorials that we very much encourage you to have a look at. It gives you a little bit more in-depth knowledge of how to understand phonics, what the RWInc phonics is, but very much based on the PowerPoint that I've shared with you today, and why it's important to read to your child at home, and just give you some top tips as well. So it's a really great informative website for you to reference at home. Think about when you're reading with your child, recognising the pure sounds. Don't concentrate too much on letter names at the moment. It's really important that in the early years, years 1 and year 2, children are recognising sounds in words. Encourage them to use Fred Talk to read and spell words. It's so important that children are applying these strategies at home as well. Listen to your child read their storybook every day. We can't stress the importance that repetition really develops your child as a confident reader. Read stories every day to your child. I'm sure you've got lots of lovely books at home. Please just enjoy lots of stories together. On Friday of this week, there will be a reading at home booklet that will come home with your child. Just gives you some top tips of how to support your child with their reading at home. I wanted to just talk briefly about the phonics screening. If your child is in year 2, they were currently due to take the phonics screening assessment back in June when they were in year 1. Unfortunately, due to COVID and restrictions, they were unable to do that. So they're going to be taking the assessment in the first week of December, and a letter's coming out to you with a little bit more information regarding that. Children in year 3 who are due to complete a retake in year 2 will also take this assessment in the first week of December, and we will share their result with you once all children have taken the assessment. And the Year 1 pupils at present will take their screening assessment in June next year, which is the time of year when we usually take this assessment. So all being well, that will all go take place. Just wanted to show you some resources and some websites to look at. These are the Ruth Miskin ones. There's a Facebook group you can join. There's ebooks that you can enjoy as well to pop on your tablets at home and iPads, and your children can enjoy reading some of the RWInc books at home with you. So unfortunately we can't do a Q&A on here, but please do not hesitate to contact me here at Hillside. I'm the assistant head, Mrs. Dixon, and I also teach in Year 1 as well. So if you have any questions regarding your child's reading, the RWInc programme, the phonics screening, please do not hesitate to get in contact with myself or with your child's class teacher. You can send an email into admin and they can pass it on to me, or you can catch me on the Year 1 gate. I'm usually there most days. So thank you so much for taking the time to go through this PowerPoint with me. I hope it's answered some of your questions that you may have, but as I said, please do not hesitate to get in contact with us. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye bye.